Welcome to Rewatch-and-Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each of the episodes against each other, and today's episode is One Piece Arabasta Saga Little Garden Arc, episode 71, Humongous Battle, the Giants Dory and Brogy. Episode in a nutshell is a brief reminder of what happened in the episode. So the episode begins where the last one left off, with Brogy approaching the ship, and he asks Nami and Usopp, who are terrified, for some alcohol, and they then decide to play dead as a way to get rid of Brogy. But that doesn't work. He just brings them back to his house and offers them some food in exchange for the alcohol that they had agreed to give him. And he tries to be really nice, but they are terrified, and so, as soon as they give up on playing dead, they run away, almost end up eaten by a dinosaur or brought back, and then just kind of cry there. But then a volcano goes off, and Brogy indicates that he's been in a duel for 100 years, and volcano is the signal, so he heads off. Luffy, still on top of the Brontosaurus's head, decides that it's appropriate to wring its neck and wrench its head to a completely different side, which of course injures the poor thing, and all of its friends come and, attack him, and he doesn't even realize he's being attacked as he, jumps from head to head and slides down the necks and such, but he does eventually end up eaten. Luckily, before he makes it all the way down the neck into the stomach, the other giant Dory arrives and slices off the head of the Brontosaurus, which allows him to save Luffy. Luffy and him become fast friends, and he introduces Vivi and Karu before they have a chance to run away as they had intended, because it's a giant. And they then are invited over to Dory's little home campsite, where he fries up the Brontosaurus, and they exchange their lunches. Luffy gives him his pirate lunch. Dory gives him some of the dinosaur meat, and they have a great time, and Dory explains how he's from Elbaf, a warrior village, and within that village, if you have a disagreement, you then have to duel your opponent until somebody wins, and the one who is considered to be right will receive divine protection and survive. The one who is wrong will obviously die at the end of the duel. And that he and Dory have been doing this, or Dory and Brogy have been doing this duel for 100 years, but it's okay because their lifespan's like 3 times that of a human's, but that still is like a third of their lifespan then, if you're assuming humans have about 100 years. Sanji and Zoro, they are continuing their competition. They bring their initial kills next to each other, but the Triceratops is a little fatter, the T-Rex is a little longer, and so they don't come to a conclusion, so they decide that at the next volcanic eruption, that'll end their competition, and it's time for round 2, and they're going to go find even bigger prey. Meanwhile, Baroque Works is in the jungle. Mr. 3 has used his devil fruit to create a little wax house, kind of like a cube, really, as their hideout in the jungle, and he's discovered that the giants, Dory and Brogy, have actually had 100 million, or no, 10 million, no. Okay, I'm not sure of the exact amounts, but they have bounties on their heads, and he wants that in addition to doing what they came for. Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine have recovered from their injuries on Whiskey Peak and have arrived to try to reclaim their mission, but are instead recruited by Mr. 3 to get these bounties from the giants. So now that we've been reminded about what happened in the episode, it's time to rank, first on the mostly objective ranking list, followed by the personal. And our mostly objective rank values, we have our multi-arc supporting character introductions, and that's Brogy and Dory. We don't see them again until Egghead Island, though they are mentioned before then in the series, but they do show up again later on, therefore, multi-arc supporting characters. And there were 3 points each, bringing us up to 6. Then we have our multi-arc supporting character growth with Mr. 3. His wax fruit isn't named, in this episode, but it is used to create the wax cube hideout. So I'm considering that also the introduction of his fruit. And that's also worth 3 points, bringing us up to 9. But I did take 2 points for the animal cruelty of literally like snapping or wrenching the neck of this poor dinosaur that Luffy did. And he did seem to feel bad about it after the fact, but you don't grab an animal by the head and just wrench its head around. That is just terrible, terrible behavior. Again, minus 2 points, which leaves this episode as a 7 out of 10. And that brings the mostly objective ranking to in first, Prehistoric Island, The Shadow Lurking in Little Garden, and then this episode, Humongous Battle, The Giant Story, and Brogy, is in second. Personal ranking, I gave this episode the same score as I did the last one. It still had a lot of slice of life elements, some comedy for the entertainment value, and then the introduction of Dory and Brogy as characters within this arc, who I would have put as, like, if they were only in this arc, I would have put them as single arc main characters, but because they do come back later, they were promoted a bit. But they are going to be important to this arc, and we are learning about kind of establishing who they are, why they're there, and, you know, what they're after in the episode. So I did put it in first place, Humongous Battle, The Giant Story, and Brogy, with Prehistoric Island, The Shadow Lurking in Little Garden as second place so far. Then we get to our saga rankings, and on both sides we have Reverse Mountain Arc in first, Whiskey Peak second, Kobe and Helmeppo Arc in third, and then in fourth is, well, I shouldn't say fourth, it's pending. We have Little Garden Arc, and that's at 15 out of 80 on the mostly objective and 14 out of 80 on the personal. Bringing us now to the series rankings so far. Again, East Blue Saga is first on both lists, and then on mostly objective we have Arabasta at 18 out of 70 so far, and personal is at 12 out of 70 so far. But with that, we have now rewatched and ranked One Piece, Arabasta Saga, Little Garden Arc, Episode 71, Humongous Battle, The Giant Story, and Brogy. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.